Welcome all my beloved second year primary school. That's our wiki time for science, and today we will have the second lesson of Unit 2, which is the measuring temperature. I remind you, بفكركم تاني, we have studied up till now 2 lessons. I know that we are faster than your school. أنا عارف كويس إن احنا أسرع من المدرسة because we have started before the starting of study in your school. عشان كده بدأنا بالدراسة تقريبا بحوالي أسبوعين فأخذنا درسين. So today you will have the third lesson, درس ثالث في منهجنا هو measuring temperature أو قياس الحرارة، وإن شاء الله the next episode الحلقة القادمة will be final or general revision for the 3 lessons which we have started up till now. So let's start our lesson today, which is the measuring temperature, and I'm sure it will be a very interesting lesson too because it contains many experiments, many interesting and many intelligent experiments at the same time. So how can we measure temperature? That's the question today. إزاي قياس الحرارة? How can we measure temperature? We can measure temperature by touching? No. Because what? Because touching is not accurate. حاسة اللمس مش دقيقة. I can't touch or I can't measure my temperature of my body by touch. Why? Or give reason? Because the sense of touch is not accurate. حاسة اللمس مش دقيقة. So how can we measure temperature? Before we say how can we measure temperature, let's start our lesson today. Or let's start with a very important point which we have started the last episode, which is the differentiation between materials. في الحلقة اللي فاتت فرقنا بين المواد وقلنا إن في good conductors و bad conductors. So we have classified the materials into 2 types, which are materials. We have classified them into what? Let's see. Into 2 types, which are good conductor, good conductor. Okay, good conductor and bad conductor. So what's the difference between them? The difference between them is that the good conducting material are materials that allow heat to flow through, such as what? Such as iron, copper, aluminium, copper, gold, silver, nickel, all metals, such as all metals. So what about bad conductors? Bad conductors such as plastic, wool, glass, air, paper, and so on, because they are materials that don't allow heat to flow through, such as plastic, wood, and wool. Okay? So we have differentiated between 2 types of material, which are good conductor and bad conductor. So what we will study today, we will study the measuring temperature lesson, or how can we measure temperature. إزاي قياس الحرارة؟ ده درس مهم جدا وشيق جدا في نفس الوقت. So let's start. The first question I give to you is that can we measure temperature by touching? The answer will be not. Or why? Because sense of touch is not accurate. So again, the question says that can we measure temperature by touching? No. Why? Because sense of touch is not accurate. So the device which is used to measure temperature is what? Is the thermometer. And I'm sure all of you know what thermometer. كلكم عارفين كويس قوي ان في جهاز او اداة مهمة جدا اسمها thermometer that measure temperature, or that is used to measure temperature. So again, the thermometer is a device which is used to measure the temperature. So how can the thermometer measure temperature? ازاي بيشتغل الثرمومتر او ايه هي المين idea of the making thermometer؟ يعني ازاي هو بيقيس الحرارة؟ عايز اعرف النهارده ازاي الثرمومتر measure temperature. So before that we have a definition for thermometer, and I said before more and more. قلت اكتر مرة we like the creative student. بنحب قوي الطالب المبدع اللي بيكتب تعريف من دماغه. عايز اعمل تعريف للثرمومتر. I can say it's a device that is used to measure the temperature. تعريف سهل جدا وسيمبل جدا في نفس الوقت. Again, it's a device that is used to measure the temperature. So, the main idea of the thermometer is that الفكرة الرئيسية في الترمومتر إن جواه liquid داخل الثرمومتر liquid, and this liquid expand by heating and contract by cooling. يعني معنى كده إن الثرمومتر في فكرة واحدة بس، إن أي ماتيريال أي مادة جوه الثرمومتر لو بيحصل لها expand by heating and contract by cooling تتمدد بالحرارة وتنكمش بالبرودة أقدر أقيس بيها الحرارة. So again, the main idea of thermometer is that liquids expand by heating and contract by cooling. Again, it's a very important idea. إيه هي فكرة الترمومتر أو إزاي بيشتغل؟ هو بيشتغل بفكرة واحدة بس، هي that liquids expand by heating and contract by cooling. Liquids expand by heating and contract by cooling. So let's have the type of thermometer. We have 2 types of thermometer in this syllabus. عندنا نوعين بس من thermometer في منهجنا. which are medical thermometer الترمومتر الطبي، سيلسيوس thermometer أو الترمومتر المئوي. عندنا نوعين هم medical thermometer and Celsius thermometer. Medical thermometer and Celsius thermometer. Okay? So that's the image of the medical thermometer, and all of us know or use this thermometer. Thermometer or medical thermometer start from 35 Celsius to 42 Celsius. Again, it's a very important device which is called medical thermometer. جهاز مهم جدا بنسميه medical thermometer أو أحيانا بنسميه كمان clinical thermometer. Okay? So how can we make a definition for the medical thermometer? إزاي أعمل تعريف للميديكال thermometer؟ is that it is a thermometer that is used to measure the temperature of the human body. medical thermometer هو الترمومتر الخاص بالإنسان. عشان كده هنقول عليه it is a thermometer that is used to measure the temperature of the human body or human being or people or man. I can say any word. Again, it's a thermometer that is used to measure the temperature of the human body. So another picture, another image for the medical thermometer. It starts from what to what? بيبدأ من 35 to 42 Celsius. Again, 35 Celsius. Celsius هنا معناها درجة مئوية to 42 Celsius. So the structure of the medical thermometer is that transparent thick glass tube. Again, number one, transparent thick glass tube. أنبوبة زجاجية شفافة. Capillary tube closed from one of its ends. في حاجة بنسميها أنبوبة شعرية مغلقة من الجانب الأعلى ليها. Mercury pulp مستودع للزئبق and a constriction اختناق أو constriction حاجة كده يعني منطقة ضيقة شوية. Again, transparent thick glass tube, capillary tube closed from one of its ends, mercury pulp constriction. Again, it consists of four main parts: transparent thick glass tube, capillary tube closed from one of its ends, mercury pulp and constriction. So نوتة بينا ملاحظة مهمة جدا. Medical thermometer has a constriction. Why? To prevent the mercury pack quickly to read the measurement easily. في حاجة مهمة جدا في medical thermometer بنسميها constriction. ليها وظيفة مهمة جدا هي إنها تمنع الميركوري إنه يرجع مرة تانية. But before that, I want to explain how can we measure temperature. إزاي نقيس الحرارة accurately, or what is the main idea of the thermometer. هي الفكرة الرئيسية في الترمومتر. I will now explain the activity, which we will see it in a short video after a while. Imagine that you have a flask like that. Okay, it contains water, for example, colored water. Okay, and this flask is closed by a stopper. flask هنا مقفولة بسدادة بنسميها stopper, and has a capillary tube. يعني كلمة capillary tube بنسميها أنبوبة شعرية. Okay, and I will ask some student or some people to pour very hot water on this. Okay, هطلب من بعض الطلبة أو من واحد من الطلبة إنه يصب مية سخنة جدا أو boiling water on this. What happened to the water inside the flask? It will get hot. طب إيه اللي هيحصل بعد كده؟ After it will get hot, or after it gets hot, it will expand. It will expand. Why? Because we know that liquids or most material يعني السوائل أو معظم المواد كمان مش بس liquid حتى كمان solid expand by heating. So the water will raise from this level to another higher level. هلا الماء بترتفع من السطح هنا سطح أعلى شوية. So again, what happened when I pour hot water? The water level rises. So what happened when I pour very cold water, or when I put crushed ice لما احط تلج مجروش. Okay, the same experiment لكن هغير hot water cold water. Here is the water, and I will pour very cold water or ice. I can put cubes of ice like this. Okay, what happened to the level of water? The level of water will fall or will decrease. So I can see that if the level of water here at this level, in the case of cold water, it will be here. So water level decreases. Water level decreases. Why? Because I used very cold water. So I can say a very important idea or a very important rule. قانون مهم جدا هنقول عليه. Liquids expand by heating. يعني السوائل بتتمدد بالحرارة. And contract by cooling. وتنكمش بالبرودة. So what happened here in the first case? The liquid expand by heating. What happened here in the second case? The liquid contract by cooling. So I can say again, it's a very important main idea that liquid expand by heating and contract by cooling. So let us see now the short video about what happened in this case. هنشوف حالا دلوقتي very important video to know the effect or the effect of heat or cooling on liquid. هعرف كويس قوي ازاي بتأثر الحرارة heating or cooling البرودة على أي liquid such as water. So now let's see this short video to know the effect of heat on liquids or the idea of making the thermometer. Look here. Now I have what? I have a beaker of water. I have a beaker of water like that. This beaker of water has a definite volume. يعني عنده حجم محدد. يعني كاس المية ده أو إناء المية ده فيه حجم محدد من المية for liquids. Okay. What happened after that? We know that liquid what? Expand by heating and contract by cooling. So I put here very hot water. What happened to the level of water? It will expand or it expands. Why? Because again, liquid expand by what? Heating. Liquid expand. I repeat the video again. نعيد من تاني. Okay. Liquid expand by what? Heating. So here the level is at A. Level هنا عند مستوى هنسميه point A. Okay. What happened when I put hot water? لما حطينا very hot water, what happened? The water level rises. Why? Because water expands by heating. And المية تتمدد بالحرارة. The water level expands. So what happened if I exchange the very hot water with very cold water? لو بدلت المية السخنة بمية باردة, the liquid will contract. The liquid will contract. Okay? So again, we can say or we can summarize this short video in a very important idea is that liquids expand by heating and contract by cooling. Liquid expand by heating and contract by cooling. So again, what happened when I put very cold water? The liquid what? The liquid contract or the liquid level fall down. The liquid level fall down. So now this short video illustrates that. الفيديو هنا بيعرفني حاجة مهمة جدا that liquid expand by heating and contract by cooling. So we can use any matter. ممكن استخدم أي material أو أي مادة that can expand by heating or contract by cooling to show the effect of heat on the thermometer. So again, it's a very important idea. فكرة مهمة جدا that inside the thermometer there is a material. جوه الترمومتر في مادة مهمة جدا such as mercury, alcohol, any material that expand by heating when there is a high temperature and contract by cooling when there is a very low temperature. So again, the main idea of the thermometer is that liquid expand by heating and contract by cooling. So again, the main idea of the thermometer is that liquids expand by heating and contract by cooling. Okay? So again, medical thermometer has a constriction. Why? Let us see the picture of this thermometer. Look here. I have a very important picture. Look here. There is something which is called a constriction. هنا في نقطة مهمة جدا أو جزء مهم جدا بنسميه constriction. This constriction means what? Means it's a very very narrow tube. إنها أنبوبة ضيقة جدا. And its function is that, its rule is that, دورها أو وظيفتها is that to prevent mercury back from going again. يعني لو أنا بقيس حرارة شخص for example and the temperature reaches for example 39. Okay, 39. And I take out the thermometer from his mouth, that temperature doesn't fall. يعني لو خرجت الثرمومتر من فم المريض الحرارة مش هتنزل إلا ما أعمل لها shaking، أعمل لها هز كتير جدا. So again the constriction الاختناق اللي موجود في الميديكال thermometer is very important. Why? Because it prevents mercury back and we can read the temperature easily. Again, the constriction is very important because it prevents mercury back from reaching again to read the temperature easily. So again, the structure of the medical thermometer is a transparent thick glass tube, a capillary tube closed from one of its ends, mercury bulb, and constriction. Let us see all of them on the picture again. Here is the mercury bulb at the bottom. تحت خالص هنا في mercury bulb. And inside, which is yellow tube, جوه كده في أنبوبة صفراء, it is the capillary tube سميناها انبوبه شعريه لانها very narrow ضيقه جدا جدا او رفيعه جدا في حجم الشعره تقريبا او طبعا اكبر شويه. and a transparent sea glass tube انبوبه زجاجيه شفافه from outside اللي هي عليها النمبرز او الديجريز درجات. and a very important part which is that the constriction الاختناق ده مهم جدا لانه بيمنع الميركوري from going back. Okay, so again the medical thermometer has 4 components which are mercury pulp, transparent thick glass tube, and from inside capillary tube closed from the upper end or the upper end and connected from the other end to the mercury pulp and also a constriction. مهم قوي اعرف تركيب الثرمومتر لان عندنا labeling diagram مش مطلوب مني ارسم لكن مطلوب مني احط ليبل على الدايجرام. اوكي and at last a constriction الاختناق ده وظيفته مهمه جدا which prevent mercury back from reaching again to read the temperature easily. So again the structure of the thermometer is that transparent glass tube, capillary tube, mercury pulp and constriction. So ملاحظه مهمه جدا nota bene very important. Medical thermometer has a constriction. Why or give reason? To prevent mercury back. Sorry, quickly to read that measurement easily. Again, the function or the reason or the rule دور أو وظيفة constriction is that to prevent mercury back quickly to read the measurement easily. So now the scale of the medical thermometer start from what to what بيبدأ من رقمين يمكن يبانوا very strange غراب شوية أو غريبين شوية. 35 Celsius to 42 Celsius. Why? Why 35 and why 42? 35 because we know that the measuring temperature of the normal human body الشخص المعتاد أو الشخص اللي حرارته طبيعية اللي هو مش sick مش مريض 37. So temperature of the human body can fall down to reach 36 or 35. يبقى أقل حرارة ممكن يوصل ليها الإنسان وساعتها هيكون أكيد وصل لمرحلة الوفاة 35. So what is the highest temperature of the human body? The temperature of the normal body is 37. It may increase to 39, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, and there is a very sick people or a very sick man that may lead to this. ساعتها برضه الإنسان هيوصل لمرحلة الوفاة. عشان كده اخترنا درجتين مهمين جدا للميديكال ثرمومتر هم 35 Celsius and 42 Celsius. Okay? Again, the scale of the medical thermometer start from 35 Celsius to 42 Celsius. Another important point or important information thermometer معلومة مهمة جدا. Each degree كل درجة في الثرمومتر الطبي is divided into 10 parts equal 1/10 degrees. قسمناها ل 10 أجزاء كل شرطة منهم أو كل جزء زي ما بنسميه كده باللغة العامية شرطة بيساوي تقريبا 1/10 or 1/10 يعني 1/10 من الدرجة. Again, each degree is divided into 10 parts equals 1/10 degree. Okay? So now, how to use the medical thermometer? It's a very important way. طريقة مهمة جدا. ما ينفعش أي حد يستخدم medical thermometer إلا لما يكون عارف الإجراءات أو البروسيجرز لازم يتبعها عشان يستخدم medical thermometer. Again, we have very important medical or very important procedures to use medical thermometer. Again, we have very important procedures. إجراءات مهمة جدا to use the medical thermometer, which are number 1, sterilized by ethyl alcohol. لازم أعمل له عملية مهمة جدا اسمها sterilization أو تطهير بمادة اسمها كحول إيثيلي. طب لو ما عنديش ethyl alcohol I can use any perfume. ممكن أستخدم أي perfume. أكيد أي perfume contains alcohol. هنا معلومة مهمة جدا كل ما كان البرفيوم رخيص في ثمنه أكيد هيكون فيه الكحول أكتر. يعني في حالة زي ديت أستخدم برفيوم أرخص مش برفيوم غالي. Again, sterilized by ethyl alcohol. Why? To get rid of any microbe. عشان أتخلص من أي ميكروبات أو أي فيروس أو أي جراثيم ممكن تكون جت على الثرمومتر عن طريق أي patient قبل كده أو أي مريض قبل كده. Number 1, sterilized by ethyl alcohol. بطهر بالكحول الإيثيلي أو البرفيوم. Number 2, dry by tissue paper. بجففه بمنديل أو ورق منديل. dry by tissue paper عشان عارفين كويس أوي الألكحول هو مش مؤذي بس أكيد هيكون ريحة مش كويسة أو في فم المريض. dry by tissue paper. Number 3, shake the thermometer until mercury goes back to the pulp. بهذا الثرمومتر أكتر من مرة لغاية ما أتأكد تماما إن الميركوري كله رجع للبلب. طب ليه بهذا الثرمومتر؟ عشان في كونستريكشن بيمنع رجوع الميركوري بسهولة. لازم هذا الثرمومتر أكتر من مرة كل مرة ببص بعدها على الميركوري إنه رجع كله لغاية قبل 35. او رجع كله لغايه الميركوري بالب. لكن لو لسه الميركوري بيسجل حراره فور اكزامبل مثلا 36 37 38 لا ما ينفعش اقيس بالثرمومتر. اجين الخطوه دي مهمه جدا في الثرمومتر. check the thermometer until mercury goes back to the bulb. بهذا الثرمومتر اكتر من مره لغايه ما الميركوري كله يرجع للبالب. اوكي. نمبر 4 put the thermometer or put it under the tongue for a minute. بحط الثرمومتر تحت اللسان لمده دقيقه or دقيقتين، يعني ممكن حسب مريض طبعا. put it under the tongue for a minute or two. again put it under the tongue. طب ينفع احط الثرمومتر فوق التونج فوق اللسان؟ لا، it's wrong. why? because in this case it will measure temperature of the air inside the body. هنا هيقيس حراره الهواء اللي جوه فم المريض. لكن عايز اقيس حراره المريض شخصيا بحطه under the tongue داخل السلايفا اللعاب، عشان كده بقيس حراره المريض. again put it under the tongue for a minute or two not above the tongue. تحت اللسان مش فوق اللسان. under the tongue not above the tongue. again put it under the tongue for a minute or two. number 5 for the 5 step get it out and let. هخرجه من فم المريض وهقراه واعرف الحراره كويس قوي. and at last sterilized again by ethyl alcohol. بعد كده هطهره مره ثانيه بإيثايل alcohol. and after that put it in its box. هحطه في الصندوق الخاص بيه او العلبه الخاصه بتاعته. so again the medical thermometer is a very important device in our daily life. هو جهاز مهم جدا او اداه مهمه جدا في حياتنا اليوميه. and we must know how to use it. لازم اعرف ازاي استخدمه. and we must know all about the medical thermometer. we know that it's started from 35 Celsius to 42 Celsius and it's used for measuring temperature of human body only not the animal. هو بيقيس حراره الانسان مش الحيوانات، لان في بعض الانيمالز بيبقى عندها حرارات ثانيه غيرنا احنا خالص. اوكي. again the medical thermometer is used for measuring temperature of the human body only not liquids. كمان ما نستخدموش لحراره السوائل، لان ممكن يكون حراره الليكويدز more than 42. so it will cause what? it will cause the breaking of the thermometer because the mercury will expand till the thermometer will explode or break. يبقى ما ينفعش خالص استخدم medical thermometer في اي حاجه او قياس اي حراره الا human body او الانسان بس. ما ينفعش استخدمه ابدا فور اكزامبل مثلا عشان اقيس بيه حراره hot water او very hot tea. لا، كده هيتكسر او يحصل له explosion او هيتدمر. so again medical thermometer has many procedure. دي اجراءات مهمه جدا عشان استخدمه. هي ان انا لازم اعمله sterilization تطهير، لازم اعمله shaking اكتر من مره عشان اشوف الميركوري رجع تاني للميركوري بالب ولا لا. لازم كمان احطه under the tongue تحت لسان المريض مش above the tongue مش فوق اللسان to measure temperature accurately. لازم كمان اقرا الحراره واطهره مره ثانيه sterilize again وبعد كده ارجعه لمكانه الطبيعي. اتس بوكس لازم يكون فيه بلاستيك بوكس او احيانا بيكون wooden بوكس او bottle for example to protect it from breaking. Medical thermometer is very important device or is a very important tool which we use to measure the temperature again of human body only. الانسان بس ما ينفعش اقيس بيه حراره hot water hot tea some animal and so on. So now I have a very important nota bene. ملاحظة مهمة جدا. Let us see that with us. نقراها مع بعض. Don't seize the thermometer firmly. يعني ما ينفعش احط الثرمومتر في فم مريض ويضغط عليه بشدة. With your teeth in order not to prick. طب لو اتكسر يعني المشكلة؟ No, it's very dangerous. خطر جدا. Because mercury is poisonous. الميركوري في الحالة سام. mercury poisonous or toxic material مادة سامة that may cause this. and also the glass bottle will cause wounds. وكمان الجلاس ممكن يسبب جروح. so we can't use the thermometer or the medical thermometer with very little children. مع الأطفال الصغيرين قوي ما ينفعش استخدم معاهم medical thermometer. طب بستخدم ايه؟ بستخدم digital thermometer ترمومتر رقمي او اي way to use or to measure the temperature of them but without using the medical thermometer because it's very dangerous for them. So again, it's a very important note. Don't seize the thermometer firmly with your teeth in order not to break it because mercury is poisonous or toxic. So again here, if the thermometer is broken, again mercury is very toxic material. ناخد بالنا كويس قوي الميركوري مادة مش سهلة، مادة خطرة جدا، كمان toxic سامة and it may cause damage for some precious metal. ممكن كمان تسبب تلف لبعض المعادن الغالية such as gold because mercury reacts with gold. So again take care of mercury. The thermometer is very important but mercury is very dangerous. الميركوري خطر جدا جدا جدا. So now The thermometer must be vertical and the direction of the sight must be horizontal during reading the temperature. لازم يكون الترمومتر vertical عشان أقرأ الحرارة بدقة جدا. وكمان تكون نظري أنا عليه horizontal، يعني أنا أكون نظر عينيا أو عينيا بالنسبة للترمومتر واخدين شكل perpendicular متعامد مع بعض عشان أقيس الحرارة بدقة عالية جدا. So now digital thermometer, what about it? It's a device which displays the thermometer digitally. هو جهاز بيوضح لي الحرارة أو بيقيسها بشكل digitally، يعني بشكل رقمي. Again, digital thermometer displays the temperature digitally. بيقيس الحرارة بشكل digitally. So now let's have the drawing or the labeling of the medical thermometer. ازاي دلوقتي ارسم؟ انا اوكي انا عارف ان كلكم مش مطلوب منكم ترسموا، لكن ممكن نعمل براكتس نتدرب ازاي نرسم ميديكال ثيرمومتر، لان مطلوب مني في امتحان اعمل ليبلنج، وده سؤال مهم جدا مشهور في معظم الامتحانات. How can we label the medical thermometer? Look here. Imagine that I have a medical thermometer like that. Okay, I will draw a very wide thermometer to know what happened or to know the structure of inside the thermometer. Okay, so here I have a capillary tube like that. Okay, so now it's what? It's a capillary tube. دي بنسميها أنبوبة شعرية. And from outside الخارج ده اللي عليه الديجريز ده اللي هنسميه transparency glass tube. Okay, that's the what? That's the transparent thick glass tube, or I can say transparent glass tube. هي thick بس في نفس الوقت هي transparent، يعني سميكة لكن شفافة. So what about it? Here is the mercury pulp. Okay, مستودع أو خزان الزئبق اللي موجود فيه الميركوري. Okay, that's the mercury pulp. Okay, and here is the very important part which is that constriction. هنا في جزء مهم جدا اللي هنسميه constriction أو الاختناق، وده اللي بيخلي الميركوري يطلع لكن مش هينزل بسهولة. Again هيخلي الميركوري expand inside the mouth of the patient داخل فم مريض، لكن لما بخرجه من فم المريض مش هيحصل له contraction because there is a constriction. في اختناق بيخلي الميركوري ما بيرجعش بسهولة. So again now we have a very important device that is used to measure temperature, which is that the medical thermometer. Again, medical thermometer consists of what? It consists of 4 main parts, which are the capillary tube and the glass tube, and also the constriction, and also the mercury pump. Now let's see that short video to know how to use the medical thermometer. هنا في short فيديو مهم جدا ازاي استخدم the medical thermometer. جهاز مهم جدا قلنا عليه، لكن في نفس الوقت هو جهاز إلى حد ما خطر شوية. So now let us see how to use the medical thermometer. Okay. Okay. Now we will see the structure and the usage of the medical thermometer. It started from what to what? As I said, it started from 35 Celsius to 42 Celsius. Now what is this? It's a mercury pulp. هنا مستودع الزئبق. Okay. And it's a very fine capillary tube. Fine يعني رفيعة جدا. Which inside it there is a mercury. داخلها بيكون فيه mercury. Okay. Here is a very important part which is what? Small constriction. يعني ايه constriction؟ يعني كأن الأنبوبة هنا متداس عليها شوية، مضغوط عليها شوية عشان تخرج الميركوري لكن ما يرجعش تاني. يطلع الميركوري يخرج بره ويسجل temperature لكن can't return back easily. ما يرجعش بسهولة، هيرجع بس بالشيكينج بالهز، ما يرجعش بسهولة. Okay. So again, a very small constriction that is used to prevent mercury from going back again. Okay, and now the range of clinical thermometer is that from 35 to 42 Celsius. Okay, again, the temperature of the medical thermometer is from 35 Celsius to 42 Celsius. And from Fahrenheit ده يعني سكيل تاني خالص للحرارة مش عندنا السنة دي، لكن ممكن برضه نتكلم عنه بعد شوية لو في وقت. So temperature is given by reading the scale inscribed on the side of the thermometer. هقرا السكيل كام بالظبط. How the thermometer work؟ ازاي استخدمه او ازاي اقيس بيه الحرارة. A clinical thermometer is placed inside the mouth under the tongue. بحطه تحت اللسان under the tongue for a minute or two. The mercury what? Mercury heats and expand up. mercury لما يسخن بيحصل له expand وبيسجل الحرارة and it will record the temperature. Okay. The constriction, what is the function or the rule of the constriction? It prevents mercury from going back. بيمنع الميركوري انه يرجع مره ثانيه. يعني لو خرجت الثرمومتر from the patient mouth من فم المريض the mercury will not fall down. مش هيرجع تاني للوضع الطبيعي الا لما اعمل shaking، لما اعمل هز اكتر من مره. Okay? So now what is this? It's a constriction. Constriction for what? To prevent the mercury from flowing back. بيمنع الميركوري انه يرجع مره ثانيه. Okay? Again the mercury doesn't go back. Why? Because there is a constriction. عشان في حاجة بنسميها اختناق. Okay? So to resist the thermometer عشان استخدمه مرة تانية I must what? I must shake the thermometer again more and more. لازم اهزه أكتر من مرة. Why? To shake or to force the mercury back عشان أرجع الميركوري للخلف. So now we have a very important give reason question. سؤال مهم قوي شايفينه قدامنا. Why is mercury preferred or why is mercury used in the clinical thermometer؟ ليه بستخدم ميركوري تحديدا في الثرمومتر الطبي او clinical thermometer؟ We have many reasons for what. We have many reasons هنشوفها مع بعض حالا دلوقتي. ليه بستخدم ميركوري تحديدا مش اي ماده ثانيه؟ For that, look here we have two types of thermometer, the medical thermometer and the Celsius thermometer. Number one or the first reason, mercury is a metal and thus it's a good conductor of heat. هو metal عشان كده هو good conductor of heat يعني بيحس بالحراره بسرعه جدا، فبالتالي بيحصل له expansion او expanding تمدد، فاقدر اقيس الحراره بسرعه جدا. Okay? So again, mercury is a metal that is a good expanding material. Another reason, mercury remains a liquid at temperature ranging from -39 to what? To a very very high temperature which is 357. يعني الميركوري بيظل ليكويد ما بيتحولش لسوليد او يحصل له evaporation، حتى ما بيتحولش لاي ستيت ثانيه اي حاله ثانيه from -39 to 357. Again from -39 to 357 Celsius degree. Okay, so look here, mercury still liquid بيبقى زي ما هو او بيظل ليكويد لمسافه كبيره جدا او لفتره كبيره جدا. Another reason سبب مهم جدا mercury doesn't stick to the glass. الميركوري ما بيلتصقش مع الزجاج which is the capillary tube. So we have very important advantages of mercury or we have many reasons to use mercury inside the thermometer, which are that mercury is a good conductor of heat, mercury has a large or a wide scale of measuring temperature, mercury doesn't stick to the glass tube, and at last mercury measure temperature or mercury expands regularly with the temperature. بيتمدد بانتظام مع الحرارة. So now let's complete our lesson about the measuring temperature. Up till now لغاية دلوقتي درسنا one thermometer which is the medical thermometer, and after a while we will study the Celsius one. So now let us see the Celsius thermometer, which is very important thermometer which we use to measure the temperature of any other object such as liquid, such as atmosphere, such as some animal if it's possible, and so on. So now let us see the Celsius thermometer. I have now a definition. عايز اعمل تعريف للسيليزيوس thermometer. ازاي اعمل تعريف؟ قلنا بنحب قوي الطالب الكرييتيف اللي بيعمل تعريف من دماغه. هو الثرمومتر بيقيس حراره الجو او الليكويد او السوائل. So I can say that it's a thermometer which is used to measure the temperature of liquids and atmosphere. So now let's see this definition. Is the thermometer which is used to measure the temperature of liquids, and I can add ممكن كمان أضيف atmosphere. Again, is the thermometer which is used to measure the temperature of liquids and atmosphere. So now, what is the structure of this thermometer? Look here, it's very similar to the medical thermometer. هو شبه قوي medical thermometer، لكن في فرق واحد بس أو فرقين تقريبا بينهم. Look here, there is a mercury pulp. عندنا هنا مستودع للزئبق أو خزان للزئبق here at the bottom, and also a capillary tube. أنبوبة شعرية ضيقة جدا. Here is again a mercury pulp, capillary tube, and a transparency glass tube. الأنبوبة اللي بره دي بنسميها transparency glass tube. So what is the difference? Here there is not a constriction. هنا ما عنديش constriction. Why? Because I don't need it. أنا مش محتاجه في السيليزيوس 1. ليه؟ أنا هقيس بيه حرارة liquids. I put the thermometer in liquids and measure temperature directly. مش محتاج أبدا أستنى عشان أقيس الحرارة. يعني بالعربي كده أو simply باختصار عشان أقيس حرارة أي liquid I put the thermometer inside the liquid and I can see temperature directly. مش محتاج يكون عندي constriction أو اختناق because it's not needed. أنا مش محتاجها. Okay? So why there is a constriction in the medical thermometer? Because it prevent mercury pack from going again and I can read the temperature easily. ليه عندي constriction في الترمومتر الطبي عشان يمنع الميركوري انه يرجع بسهوله فاقراه على مهلي. فور اكزامبل مثلا لو في دكتورز بيقيس حراره بيشنت وخرجنا الترمومتر من فم المريض ممكن جدا الميركوري يرجع بسهوله جدا قبل ما اقيس الحراره، لكن هنا انا بقيس الحراره وهي جوه الليكويد مش محتاج ابدا يكون عندي constriction. So now the comparison between the medical thermometer and the Celsius one is very important. لو دلوقتي الطالب الشاطر قوي هو اللي يعمل لي comparison بين الاثنين. medical thermometer الترمومتر الطبي and the Celsius thermometer الترمومتر المعي. So now let us see the structure again of the Celsius one. It started from what? It started from 0 Celsius. نشوف مع بعض 200 Celsius. بيبدأ من 0 Celsius يعني حرارة بتبدأ من الزيرو. Look here 0 or minus and it reaches 100 Celsius. It reaches 100 Celsius يعني بيبدأ من 0 Celsius ل 100 Celsius. Okay. So now the structure of the Celsius thermometer. Look here. Number 1 transparent thick glass tube. تقريبا زي الجلاس تيوب اللي موجودة في الميديكال بالظبط. لكن طبعا هتكون more longer أطول. ليه؟ لأن السكيل أكبر، التدريج بتاعها أكبر بيبدأ من 0 ل 100. Number 2 capillary tube أنبوبة شعرية closed from one of its end. مقفولة من الفتحة أو مقفولة من الجزء الأعلى and connected from the other side to the mercury bulb ومتصلة برضه بالmercury bulb. Number 3 mercury bulb. يعني هنا شايف الاستراكشر تقريبا شبه جدا medical thermometer لكن الفرق الوحيد إن ما عنديش constriction ما فيش اختناق. So here there is no constriction. Give reason because we don't need the constriction in the Celsius one. لكن ليه في constriction في الميديكال thermometer? I said more and more because it prevent mercury pack from reaching again. Okay, now نوتا بينا ملاحظة مهمة جدا. The scale of the Celsius thermometer starts from what? Starts from 0 Celsius to 100 Celsius. بيبدأ من 0 وبينتهي عند 100. Or in some case or some type of Celsius thermometer it reaches 200. أحيانا كان بيوصل 200 أو أكتر من كده. يعني حسب السكيل بتاعه لكن هو already بيبدأ from 0 Celsius and start or reaches 100 or 200. The Celsius thermometer has no constriction ما فيهوش اختناق خالص. ليه؟ Because again we don't need it ما بنحتاجوش. Okay? The Swedish scientist مين بقى العالم المشهور جدا اللي المفروض نقدره جدا ونقدر his effort مجهوداته هو أندريس سيليزيوس اللي created هو اللي اخترع السيليزيوس thermometer أو Celsius scale in 1747. عالم مهم جدا وعشان كده أخدنا اسمه أندريس سيليزيوس وعملناه هو الديجري الخاصة بالتمبريتشر. So again the temperature is measured in units of Celsius to the great scientist Andres Celsius who created the Celsius scale or Celsius degrees in 1747. So he considered that Celsius بقى اعتبر ان ال 0 Celsius is the melting point of ice. هو درجة انصهار الثلج. ال 0 Celsius is the melting point of ice. Again he considered the first degree of the Celsius thermometer is the melting point of ice. Is the melting point of ice. So what about the 100th degree? He considered also the 100 Celsius is the boiling point of water. هو اعتبر ان ال 100 او هو فعلا لقى كده هو مش اعتبار يعني هو لقى ان ال 100 Celsius هي درجة غليان المية لكن 0 هو درجة ال melting of ice درجة انصهار الثلج. So again what's the difference between 0 and 100? 0 is the melting point of ice but 100 is the boiling point of water. Boiling point of water. So he considered also 100 Celsius is the boiling point of water as I said and he divided the distance between 0 and 100 into 100 parts where each part equal 1 degree. هنا في السيليس ثرمومتر ما عنديش حاجة اسمها شرطة يعني الديجريز تبدأ من 0 ل 100 لكن كل شرطة بينهم أو كل داش بينهم هتبقى 1 degree. ما عنديش هنا جزء من ديجري. عشان كده مين الثرمومتر اللي more accurate أكثر دقة؟ surely the medical one because it's used for measuring temperature of the human body not liquids not atmosphere. يعني بقيس حرارة الإنسان أنا محتاج يبقى بدقة قوي محتاج أعرف الفراكشنز الديسيمالز أوف temperature محتاج أعرف أجزاء من الحرارة لكن في حرارة الليكويدز it's not necessary مش مهمة قوي أو في حرارة الأتموسفير برضو it's not necessary يعني for example الحرارة النهاردة 30 لكن 30 point كام مش مشكلة قوي. Okay so again he divided the distance between 0 and 100 Celsius into 100 parts where each part equal 1 degree. So now there are some type of thermometer reaches what? Reaches 200 Celsius. في بعض الأنواع بتوصل 200 درجة مئوية. So celsius thermometer can measure the melting point of ice which is what sorry is 0 celsius. يعني الترمومتر المائي بيقيس بيه حراره السوائل او درجه انصهار الثلج اللي بتبدا من 0 and the boiling point of water which is 100 celsius. So why is mercury preferred؟ قلنا السؤال ده اثناء الفيديو، شفناه في الفيديو عملي بشكل عام، لكن نراجعه مع بعض لانه سؤال مهم جدا. ليه بستخدم الميركوري in making thermometer؟ ليه ما بستخدمش اي ليكويد تاني؟ for example مثلا water, oil and so on. We have many reasons for using mercury, which number one is that it's a liquid metal. هو سائل لكن في نفس الوقت metal معدني. Water is liquid compound. water ما ينفعش خالص في قياس الحرارة. And it can be seen easily. It can be seen easily from glass tube. يعني الميركوري sorry liquid metal which can be seen easily. لو water مش هتشاف بسهولة. طبعا في أسباب تانية water ما تنفعش فيها خالص عشان تكون liquid inside the thermometer. Again number one, it's a liquid metal that can be seen easily from the glass tube. Number two, it's a good conductor of heat. هو موصل جيد للحرارة لأن هو already allow heat to flow through. هو على فكرة بيوصل حرارة بسرعة جدا، يمكن أسرع من ميتال تانية كتير قوي. It's a good conductor of heat. Number three, it's a regular expanding material. بيتمدد بانتظام. So what's mean that؟ ده معناه إيه؟ It means that when there is a temperature or there is a high temperature, liquid mercury expand. الميركوري هيتمدد. When there is no temperature or when there is cooling، لما يكون في cooling, mercury contract. الميركوري هينكمش ويرجع تاني لوضعه الأصلي. So again, it's a regular liquid expanding material. هو مادة بتتمدد بانتظام مع الحرارة. Number four, it doesn't stick to the walls of the capillary tube. يعني ما بيلتصقش بجدار الزجاج المصنوع منه أو المصنوع منه الثرمومتر، فبالتالي بيكون كله one mass، كتلة واحدة. It rise up and fall down with each other. بيطلع كله مرة واحدة أو ينزل كله مرة واحدة، يعني كله بيحصل له expand مرة واحدة أو contract مرة واحدة. So mercury is preferred. Why? Because we have many reasons for that. It's regular expanding material, it's liquid metal, and so on. So now, I'm afraid there is no time for this lesson, for this episode. So now let's summarize what we have studied. نلخص كل اللي قلناه النهارده. We have studied two types of thermometer which are celsius thermometer and medical thermometer. So let's compare between them. نعمل مقارنة مهمة بينهم. Now, first structure or first point of comparison is that structure. أول مقارنة أو أول وجه للمقارنة هنتكلم عن structure. They are the same. Transparent glass tube, capillary tube, closed from one of its end and mercury part. And also the range of scale from 0 Celsius to 100 Celsius in the Celsius thermometer. But medical started from 35 to 42 Celsius. And at last the constriction الاختناق هو already absent، مش موجود، مش محتاجه خالص في السيليزيوس، لكن present، لكن موجود في الميديكال thermometer. By this comparison we have reached the end of this episode, and I hope to get benefited from this episode. We have started today the measuring temperature, and inshallah the next episode we will have a very important revision about unit 1 which is mass and weight, and unit 2 which is measuring temperature and heat conduction. And now goodbye, see you soon.